Welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping straight into a situation that honestly feels less like our usual analytical work and way more like an international espionage thriller playing out in real time.
Yeah, it really does. It's got all the hallmarks of a spy novel, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
And for you listening, our mission today is to deconstruct a very specific, very mysterious event. We're looking into the detention of an Iranian ship named the Nora in the commercial port of Kalundborg, Denmark.
right. Kalindborn, which
Uh-huh.
is usually just a quiet, efficient, totally standard maritime hub.
Yeah, exactly. Picture massive cargo vessels, agricultural supplies, machinery, just standard global trade. But recently, that mundane scene was totally shattered by the Danish Emergency Management Agency.
Yeah, their specialized hazmat unit,
Yeah.
specifically.
Yellow chemical suits, self-contained breathing apparatuses, perimeter lockdowns. Like, they were not there for an oil spill. They were there to board the Nora.
And that level of response is just unprecedented for a routine customs check.
It is. But here is the real inciting incident. The Danish police, the NSK, didn't just randomly decide to suit up and board this ship. They acted on a direct, urgent request from the FBI.
Which is, just massive.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because an American federal intelligence agency dictating tactical police action in a quiet Scandinavian harbor is exceptionally rare.
Yeah, it's virtually unheard of.
Danish police are not, a field office for American federal law enforcement.
Yeah.
To trigger a jurisdictional crossover of that magnitude across the Atlantic,
It requires actionable, immediate intelligence.
right, intelligence that bypasses all the normal diplomatic bureaucracy.
Exactly. The FBI had to hand the Danish authorities undeniable data proving the Nora posed an immediate threat. Because port authorities, they usually operate on a triage system. They scan millions of manifests for anomalies.
It's like looking for a needle in a stack of needles.
Pretty much. Most of the time, the burden of proof to actually freeze a commercial asset in a foreign port is just way too high. The host nation takes on massive legal and financial liability.
So they need a smoking gun before they even step onto the gangway.
They do. And to understand what the FBI actually saw, we have to talk about what the Nora really is. It's part of the Shadow Fleet.
Right, the Shadow Fleet. So to understand why the FBI cared, we have to understand this disguise.
Yeah, the Shadow Fleet is basically a parallel logistical universe. It's this incredibly complex, decentralized network of vessels built to evade international sanctions.
They move commodities and revenue for sanctioned nations. And they hide right in plain sight.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is the sheer mechanics of how the Nora did it. The ship was sailing under the flag of Gabon, a West African nation.
Even though it has nothing to do with Gabon.
Nothing at all. But in maritime law, the flag state is responsible for enforcing safety and regulations on that vessel, no matter where it is. Gabon operates an open registry.
A flag of convenience.
Right. You register online, pay a fee, and you get the flag. You don't need any economic ties to the country.
It's jurisdictional arbitrage.
Completely. The operators know Gabon lacks the naval resources or, frankly, the geopolitical incentive to police a ship halfway across the globe.
So if a European customs agency wants to check the Nora's compliance, they have to route the request through Gabon.
Which creates an administrative black hole. It slows everything down.
But the flag is just the first layer, right? I want to push back on this a bit because the ship actually changed its identity. It used to be called the Ceres, then they just renamed it the Nora.
Yeah, they literally paint a new name on the stern.
But if this is a known tactic, why does it keep working? Like, every ship has an IMO number, right? An International Maritime Organization number. It's permanently assigned to the hull.
Like a VIN number on a car.
Exactly. So if the IMO number is the same, how does a massive cargo ship just hide by changing its name? It's like a fugitive using a burner phone and a fake ID, but keeping their actual social security number.
Well, it doesn't hide them from, say, the CIA or the FBI, but it creates enough administrative friction to slip past standard automated port checks.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because when they changed the name from Cirrus to Nora, they also changed the corporate ownership to a new shell company, usually in a place like the Marshall Islands.
So it fragments the digital footprint.
Right. It temporarily clears the vessel's history of past sanctions violations. Port authorities rely on commercial databases, and suddenly this new ship looks perfectly clean.
Just generating administrative noise.
Exactly. And they also spoof their AIS, their automatic identification system. They'll broadcast coordinates saying they're in the mid-Atlantic while they're actually loading cargo in a sanctioned port.
Wait, really? They just fake their GPS location.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they even clone the IMO number of a legitimate vessel that's currently being scrapped in South Asia.
Hijacking the digital ghost of a dead ship. That is wild.
It is, but the FBI saw right through all of that. Which brings us to the actual physical voyage.
Right. Where was it coming from? Because that tells us what they were trying to hide.
The Nora was tracked departing from St. Petersburg, Russia.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because a Shadow Fleet vessel linked to Iranian networks coming straight out of Russia's primary western port, that changes the entire threat calculus.
It really does. Russia and Iran are both under suffocating international sanctions right now.
So they're cooperating.
Deeply. They have established deeply integrated military logistics corridors. They are actively sharing technology and hardware.
And the prevailing theory among analysts is that the Nora was carrying dual-use technology.
Right, civilian tech that can be repurposed for military use.
We're talking advanced microelectronics, navigation sensors, precision machining tools, stuff used for commercial aerospace that you actually need to build modern weaponry.
Yeah. Sanctioned states use front companies in neutral nations to buy these components. They consolidate them, slap fraudulent paperwork on them, and ship them to a transit hub like St. Petersburg.
And then load them onto a ghost ship like the Nora.
Exactly.
But I've got to jump in and actively question this dual-use theory based on what actually went down in Kellenborg.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, if the FBI just tracked a bunch of drone microchips, they'd absolutely tell the Danish police to intercept it. But you don't need a hazmat suit for microchips. The NSK deployed the Danish Emergency Management Agency's hazmat unit. You don't need breathing apparatuses to open wooden crates of electronics. The response on the dock completely contradicts the idea of a simple tech smuggling run.
Yeah, this raises an important question. What specific intelligence did the FBI hand over regarding the physical stability of this cargo?
It had to be highly volatile.
Right. DEMA's hazmat teams are trained for CBRN threats: chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. Their presence implies a severe, immediate environmental or explosive risk.
We're talking about substances that require specialized containment protocols just to be in the same room with them.
Exactly. It shifts the theory away from stable microchips and toward volatile precursors.
Like what? What kind of chemicals?
Well, it could be something like unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine.
Okay, what is that?
It's a highly toxic, extremely corrosive chemical used as a liquid rocket propellant, specifically for ballistic missiles.
Oh, wow. So direct military fuel.
Or it could be specialized degrading munitions, things that pose a catastrophic explosive risk if they are mishandled by regular customs agents during a standard inspection.
Which completely explains the urgency of the FBI's request.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about stopping a sanctions violation, it was about preventing a literal explosion in a major European shipping lane.
Absolutely. Denmark took on an immense physical risk by boarding that vessel. The crew probably didn't even know the true chemical nature of what they were sitting on top of.
That makes the Shadow Fleet so much more terrifying. It's
Yeah.
not just financial crimes. These are floating environmental hazards navigating through our busiest waters.
Driven by crews that are actively engaged in evasion tactics.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the location. Out of all the waters in the world, why did the trap snap shut in Kellenborg?
It all comes down to geography as geopolitics.
Yeah, we have to look at the map. Denmark is the geographic gatekeeper to the Baltic Sea.
Right. If a ship leaves St. Petersburg and wants to reach the open ocean, it has literally zero geographic alternatives.
It has to go through the Danish Straits.
The Great Belt or the Øresund. And under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, vessels usually have the right of transit passage through international straits.
Meaning you can't just pull them over.
Exactly. Even if Denmark suspects the Nora is busting sanctions, boarding a moving vessel during transit passage is a massive legal and diplomatic risk. It practically violates international maritime law.
But, and this is the crazy part, the legal framework completely flips the second the ship stops moving.
Yes, it does.
And according to the reports, the Nora experienced technical problems right as it was navigating this incredibly narrow choke point.
Right. It was forced to drop anchor or pull into the harbor for repairs.
And the moment it anchors in domestic waters due to a technical glitch, it loses that transit passage protection.
Instantly, it falls under port state control. Denmark immediately gained the absolute legal authority to board, inspect, and detain the vessel to ensure safety standards.
That technical glitch basically stripped away the Nora's legal armor.
It did, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, this interception represents a highly coordinated evolution in how the West combats the Shadow Fleet.
How so?
Well, they're moving away from trying to police the open ocean. It's too vast, jurisdiction is murky, it's just impossible.
Right.
Instead, they are using hyper-localized intelligence sharing at unavoidable geographic bottlenecks.
So what does this all mean? It means the seizure of the Nora is a template. Global intelligence agencies are weaponizing maritime geography
Yes. They're turning these straits into toll booths.
because they knew the FBI had been tracking this ship's digital signature since Russia. They just had to wait for the geography and the mechanics of the ship to betray it.
Exactly. It's a massive deterrent. Seizing the ship, exposing the Gabon registry, confiscating volatile military precursors, it sends a very loud message to Moscow and Tehran.
That your fake flags and spoof transponders won't save you when you hit a sovereign choke point.
Right. Synchronized global intelligence will be waiting for you.
Now, authorities are keeping the raw FBI and NSK intelligence strictly classified, which makes sense.
Yes, standard procedure for counterproliferation. They have to protect the sources and methods that let them see through the synthetic identity in the first place.
But just the observable facts of this raid completely rewrite how we have to look at global maritime trade.
It forces us to reassess the physical infrastructure of global conflict.
Because the supply chains fueling these wars aren't in hidden bunkers.
No, they're integrated right into the commercial shipping lanes. They use the exact same ports and canals as the ships carrying your electronics or your groceries.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway for you listening to this. Why should you care about a detained ship in a quiet Danish port?
Because it proves the oceans are actively being used as a shadow battleground.
Right. We think of the global supply chain as this highly regulated, abstract economic thing. But when you look at a sanctioned, volatile military cargo moving out of Russia, disguised under a West African flag, and getting ambushed by American intelligence and Danish hazmat teams.
You realize just how permeable the whole system is.
Exactly. Customs authorities just don't have the logistical capacity to physically inspect every single container.
Or verify the complex shell companies owning every vessel. The whole system relies on trust.
And bureaucratic compliance, which the Shadow Fleet is literally engineered to exploit.
They turn the volume of global traffic into their ultimate cover.
The Nora was only caught because of an incredibly complex sequence of events. The West got a specific intelligence tip, the ship hit a restrictive geographic bottleneck, and it conveniently suffered a technical failure that granted legal jurisdiction to strike.
It was a flawless tactical trap.
It really was. But it leaves us with a deeply unsettling reality to mull over.
Because the trap worked this time, for this specific vessel.
Right. But given the millions of tons of cargo floating on our oceans right now, and the calculated friction these evasion networks generate, how many other ghost ships, packed with highly volatile military cargo, are not experiencing convenient technical glitches?
Yeah.
How many are successfully slipping through those exact same geographic choke points every single day, hiding right in plain sight?